Kirby Smart is now going to be called Kirby Not Smart until he can learn to take his 3 points in a game where you've only beat the team one time, but you have 100+ wins against everybody else. Yes, I'm talking about Georgia and Alabama's matchup where Georgia goes down at home 24-21, 33-game home winning streak snapped, second longest home winning streak in the SEC, and it was the longest active home winning streak in college football. Take it away, Marcus.
I've got two major takeaways from this game, one from each side. I think the first one is that Georgia needs to lean on Zachariah Branch more. We've talked about this. They have to start leaning on him more. Against Alabama, their passing game looked a little bit flat, in my opinion, but Zachariah Branch was one of the only guys really creating separation and making plays in space. He's averaging, I believe, 16 yards after the catch this year, which is towards the top of the country. It's elite, but he's not being featured in the offense the way that you would think that he should be featured in the offense when you have those types of numbers, right? And if Georgia wants to stay in the playoff conversation, they can't just ride Chauncey Bowens as good as he is. Like, Zachariah Branch has the skill set, as I've said to you before, to be in conversation with Jeremiah Smith, to be in conversations with Ryan Williams, and to, quite frankly, open up this entire passing attack. But Georgia's got to actually give him the ball. Like, they actually have to put the ball in his hands so that he can do those things. As for Alabama, as really weird as it has been to watch Alabama football now for the last year and a quarter without Nick Saban, I think this win proves that Alabama is still a team to be worried about come playoff time. They just walked into Georgia, snapped a 33-game home winning streak, which was the longest in the college football, as you mentioned. And they did it like with poise. They were in control for most of, if not the entire game. Ty Simpson accounted for 3 touchdowns. The offense was 12 for 19 on third downs, and their defense came up with a massive stop on 4th and 1 late in the fourth quarter. That is proof that a little bit of that championship DNA that Nick Saban instilled still exists in there somewhere. So even though they did lose week 1 against Florida State, and it was kind of a surprising win to most, I don't think we should let that fool us a bit at this point. Alabama has proven, at the very least for now, that they are still Alabama, and nobody wants to see this team in December. I think those are really my big 2 takeaways, however you want to slice it. I do still think Georgia can be a championship contender, and I do still think Alabama could sneak into the college football playoff, but this is a big win for Alabama, and is equally as big of a loss for Georgia, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think it perfectly says about both of these teams what you really needed to know. And I kind of knew how this one was going to go offensively for Bama and defensively for Georgia. When you are 7 for 7 on third down in the first quarter is Alabama. Jeremy Bernard scored, and I literally said, we cannot have that happen. Jeremy Bernard was just kind of getting whatever he wanted alongside Ryan Williams, who was obviously balling out. Jeremy Bernard looked good as well. Busted coverages on the backside. I mean, Ryan Williams dropped a touchdown that Alabama ended up scoring on later on the drive, so it kind of didn't come back to bite them. But you had soft zones getting carved up. It was really looking like the Tennessee game early on, and I said it, like, the defense cannot sell us, and they sold us in the first half because Alabama didn't score in the second half, but they also didn't need to. And when you let Alabama jump all over you 14-0, and then you're up 24-14, like, you are not supposed to let those things happen. And I said if you came out slow, they were going to jump all over you, and that's what they did. Georgia also dropped an interception early in this game as well. Like, there had to have been high nerves, like Butterfingers. Maybe the football was wet. We saw it was kind of gloomy, as the game was opening up, but it was just horrible to see those missed opportunities. And you have Alabama absolutely confused in this one. They burned all 3 timeouts in the first quarter. So clearly the environment was just very intense for them, and the communications were very hard at that moment. And as a Georgia fan, you're feeding off that. You absolutely love that. Just late to the punch defensively, though. That's what it came down to. Georgia was just absolutely late to the punch defensively. Bama held the ball for 12 minutes in the first quarter and outgained Georgia by over 120 yards. And Ty Simpson balled out. Straight up. He had to have listened to the show when I was making my keys to victory for Georgia, because I said he doesn't feel like he's a special enough quarterback to beat an SEC defense. And that's what he did. And he made great read after great read. And he was crazy athletic. And they had him around on the, moving him out on bootlegs and different points of attack. And Ty Simpson just ate it all the way up. And really, like, the first 2 drives of the game for Alabama and showing how Georgia played defensively against it was everything. 28 plays, 170 yards, 2 touchdowns on the first 2 drives of the game. We see Nate Frazier fumble. I'm kind of wondering if he does still have a fumbling issue, because it's another crucial one after you force finally the first punt of the game. That ends up turning into 3 points for Alabama. So that direct turnover clearly hurt you. Thought it was a nice pass breakup by Robinson in the end zone over Jeremy Bernard to really be able to force that field goal for Alabama too, because we saw that, Robinson got picked on last week. He had an absolutely boneheaded late jump on the pile. Like, in the moment, I understood what he was doing to try to knock the pile down while Alabama was trying to push the pile forward on, yards after the catch or yards after, like getting through the line of scrimmage. And that was just horrible on him. Had to make a remark on that, because that 15 yards just absolutely crushed you and kind of set up the game stealing runs for Alabama. But this is by far the biggest takeaway for me. Why is Kirby Smart not kicking that damn field goal? There's no excuse. You are inside the 10-yard line, and your team has not been in control for most of the ball game. I'll get to more takeaways in a second on how Georgia was able to get into this one. But despite everything that happened, how do you not kick that field goal? I get it. Like, your defense is selling you. Oh, you want to go for the touchdown there. You want to take the lead. But you get your team into a point of winning a type of game that you've only won one time, albeit it was the national championship against Nick Saban. But you're now 0-2 to Alabama in the Kalen DeBoer era. It is clearly an Alabama problem for Kirby Smart, and we've had this conversation, but it's going to continue to be had. Because once you decide to take those points, you're not playing from behind. You're not. You're forcing Alabama to come down the field and take the lead with a field goal, or just try to go ahead. You are now not playing on your heels. And out of all players, you hand it to Cash Jones. Chauncey Bowens was averaging 9, 10, 11 yards a carry. Chauncey Bowens could not be stopped. But you thought of a goofy draw play to the right to Cash Jones. And Kirby's remarks after the ball game about, people ask him, like, people bring it to his attention. What are your thoughts on being 1-7 against Alabama and 100+ wins against the rest of the country? You know why his comments piss me off, Marcus? Because he always comes back with, what's everyone else's record? Kirby, they are not talking about everybody else's record, brother. Do not fit the toddler mentality with the toddler haircut that some people tell you that you have and come back with that remark. You're literally trying to gaslight and put the responsibility on other people. We're talking about you, Kirby Smart. He goes, I don't lose sleep at night over this record. Basically, I'm focused on being better and having fun with these guys as the games go on through the season. Are you fucking kidding me? Excuse my language. This doesn't keep you up at night? The fact that you are, well, like, we can get technical and say you're a Jamison Williams injury away of him not being in the national championship for being 0-8 against the Alabama Crimson Tide since you've been a head coach for the last decade at the University of Georgia. But that doesn't lose you sleep overnight. And I get it. You're trying to respond accurately. Like, you're trying to, I guess, not take the bait, right? But to me, it didn't feel like a bait question. And the rebuttals of what is everyone else's record? No, Kirby, your record is 1-7. And I'm not saying you need to lose sleep over it. And respectfully, it's not a rivalry. It's not a rivalry. It's just a great game that always comes down to Georgia losing. Up until this game, 5 of the last 6 games that Kirby Smart had played or had coached against Alabama, he had blown a 7-point lead. But he can't kick the field goal to make it a tie ball game. So you can finally capitalize on the energy that you were building throughout the whole game. I don't know why coaches hate points. Like, we see it in the NFL and we see it in college sometimes, but it blows me, Marcus, because in the second half, you literally got off the field on every single third down. Like, you turned it around in the second half on every single third down conversion. And you come out, you spoil their opening possession. You get a touchdown. You stop them again, but you cannot get into the end zone. You are knocking on the door. You literally have an opportunity to swing the entire game your way. No, we're just going to hand it to Cash Jones. We're going to hand it to Cash Jones on a horrible play call. Thanks, Mike Bobo. Love you for that one. We're not going to give it to Chauncey Bowens, who just absolutely crushed it in this game. Georgia as a team was averaging like 8-9 yards a carry. And honestly, man, the play calling for Gunnar Stockton too. Gunnar Stockton was not allowed to be Gunnar Stockton in this game. Now I'm not going to discount. I can't remember what number or player it was, but the drop touchdown over the middle of the field, like that's huge within itself. Alabama even misses a field goal to where if you hit that 3 points when you're supposed to kick that, like that's a 6-point swing. That is a whole touchdown with a missed extra point swing. And I know Kirby has to think about this type of stuff. Like these type of decisions have to be talked about as time goes on. When you're coaching, like I am looking square at the coaching for this loss for the Georgia Bulldogs. I just it's so stressful, Marcus, because you literally like I'm sure it was the traditional Kirby Smart, Kirby not smart halftime cuss out. And my buddy said it perfectly last night. Alabama takes the lead and makes you take it back. Georgia gives up the lead and fights and claws and struggles and scratches back. And I thought the play calling also for Zach Branch, like he was targeted plenty in this game. So that's where I got to go against the grain on you there. Like I definitely think Zach Branch had a good hand in this play calling. But it's 25 more plays, crushed on third down, outgained, outpassed, more penalties, lost a turnover battle, crushed on time of possession. I mean, that's how Georgia comes up with a loss. But I'm looking at coaching this one. I'm looking at coaching in this one.